Hey, so I hope you enjoyed watching that as much as I did making it. I just want to share a little BTS, just a little more insight into my thought process in making this video, talk about some of the gear I use as well as the music. Later down the road, I'm going to be making a more in-depth video on my post-production process, so I'll talk about, cutting footage in Final Cut, color grading, all of that fancy stuff. That deserves its own separate video, so make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for that video. Now, with a video like this, there honestly isn't a whole lot of planning that goes into it. You know, this isn't a video that really required me to storyboard for. This was more of a natural compilation of moments that I was basically gathering as I was on this trip in Istanbul. And I wanted to compile these moments that I encountered and turn it into this cinematic sequence that I at least hope captures the essence of my experience in Istanbul. You know, through the environment, the people, the architecture, the food, you know, the street moments that I'd normally gravitate towards when I'm typically doing street photography. But in this case, I'm filming them. This is what I would call street photography in motion. It's not something I've really talked in depth about in, you know, past videos. Maybe it does deserve its own separate video, but it's something I always feel like I'm practicing every time I'm filming for, you know, B-roll for all my YouTube videos, not just this one. But I would say this is more so a product of that practice. You know, street photography isn't really planned at all, so that was the case with filming these moments. You know, here and there I did have a few shots in my mind, and I would go out and try to get those shots. You know, as I would with having a photo in mind, I would try to get those photos. But, you know, for the most part, all of these moments that I filmed, these were all just naturally occurring as I was going on this trip. And that was another aspect I wanted this video to sort of show. I wanted to make the viewer feel like you were on this journey that I was on. That's why I have the different titles showing the different names of the different locations I was in. You know, Istanbul is a very diverse city. That was something I didn't really fully understand until I was actually there. Just seeing how much the environment shifted depending on where you were. You know, at one point you can be in a very European feeling city that sort of feels like you're in Paris, and then you can be in a bustling bazaar area, and then at the next moment you can take a boat up the Bosphorus Strait and be in a quiet fisherman village. And I think that's part of the magic of Istanbul, or at least in my eyes. So I wanted to show that in this video. So, you know, every time I would go out to shoot, I would always make sure that I'm getting enough footage of the different places I was in, getting a wide range of different perspectives, close-up shots, wide shots. You know, that would help me in the editing process. And, you know, at times I felt like I had way too much B-roll, but I kept on filming, and I'm glad I did, because honestly, you can never have too much B-roll. So the camera that I used for this was the Sony a7 IV, along with the Sigma 28 to 70mm. This is the camera and lens setup I'm using right now to film this. I had it completely bare bones, no rig, no, you know, cage or top handle, or even a microphone. I literally just used the internal mic on the Sony, and it ended up being just enough to add that ambience that I needed. But yeah, I didn't want a huge rig setup, although that probably would help with some of the stabilization. I just wanted to have as light of a setup as I possibly could have, because I was mostly using a messenger bag. I also had my Fuji Xe4 in my bag as well. All the footage was handheld. Obviously didn't bring a gimbal or anything. I don't own a gimbal. And I just don't like the look of stabilized gimbal footage. It's very obvious, and you don't get that raw documentary street photography sort of feel with that. And I think, you know, holding everything handheld, it sort of adds that element to the footage. Specifically talking about the Sony, it's a great camera. It's the footage, as you can see, it's really easy to work with. Basically shot S-Log3, and I would use this ND filter. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I'll have it linked in the description and on the screen right now. It was a good combo. You know, I used to use a variable ND filter, but I wanted to try out just having a 3-stop ND filter for this. And it worked out well. With variable NDs, you get this green color shift. This ND filter has no color shift. You know, there were some days that I was on this trip that I would just bring the Sony a7 IV with me, no other camera. And being able to go in and out of video and photo mode on this camera is really nice. It's basically like having 2 cameras in one, because you can set up video and photo mode to be completely different from each other. You know, that goes for the internal settings and the buttons and how they're programmed. Music plays a major role in pretty much all of the videos I make for YouTube, and that was especially the case for this particular video. Before I even started the editing process, I wanted to make sure I had music that I really liked that would fit the kind of mood I wanted the video to have. So for this, I sought out some music on MusicBed. They're my preferred music licensing platform, and I'm super excited to have them be a supporter of the channel. They are sponsoring this video, so big thanks to them for being so cool and for literally helping me make this video come to life. You know, there are a ton of music licensing platforms out there to choose from, but I always ended up choosing MusicBed simply because the music quality is that much better. It's the best quality music available, in my opinion, and good quality music is really important when it comes to making a film like this one or any other video project. You know, if you think of it in like cooking terms, you don't throw some chicken or vegetables on the grill and don't season it, right? I would look at good quality music as the seasoning for your dish. It adds that extra flavor. So I knew I wanted classical and cinematic as the genres for this film, so I made sure to filter for those. I also wanted songs that had some build in them, so I made sure to select that as well. For the first portion of this, I wanted a more upbeat, faster paced song. And I think that helped illustrate, you know, this feeling of getting thrown into this massive city, sort of what I felt when I first arrived, and something that would also match the pace of the bazaar areas. For the second half of this video, I wanted something that was more subdued, something that would help show the beauty of the environment, something that would also fit well with that island scenery and the, you know, quieter parts of town. You know, choosing the right song can make or break the video and the feeling that you want your viewer to have when they're watching your video. So, you know, finding good music for video projects like this one is something I never want to overlook because it's really important to my process. If you are interested in checking MusicBed out, I do have a link in the description. You can also use the code Faizal at checkout and get a special deal. Thanks again to MusicBed for sponsoring this video, and to you guys for being such an awesome audience and sticking to the end of this one. I look forward to sharing the next video when it comes out next week. All right, peace.